one of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta, it's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Liv. It's
very exciting, and really, if there was ever a place to get my first win, I feel like this would be the perfect week.
I feel like when there's this wind at this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
What the heck course were you playing today?
I don't know.
It's brutal out there.
It is brutal. I don't know. I just made everything I looked at, Jerry. You have those days. I suppose this is one of those days for me, so I relished in it. I really enjoyed it. Every time I stood over a putt, just felt like I could make it, and you don't get days like that too often, or certainly I don't. So I relished in it, and I managed to hit a lot of good shots as well. So it was a special day.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pistol players, the hustlers, the people who bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Monday Night Meltdown has begun. We've got a lot of stuff to unpack. Countdown to tip-off is on. Elimination stage, knockout games. The basketball Olympic finals are rapidly approaching, and it's go time. There's no more room for error for any of these teams. We're also into the semifinals in soccer. A lot of Olympic action to unpack. We've got a bunch of picks for you for the overnight action, early morning action, but basketball will be taking center stage. We got baseball going on right now. The Philadelphia Phillies and the Los Angeles Dodgers, the only late game that hasn't started yet. We've got a pretty good pitching matchup tonight with Nola and Glass. Now, Freddie Freeman returns to the Dodgers. He had been absent due to the illness of his son. Fortunately, things are trending in the right direction right now. Freddie Freeman is back, and, we decided to grab a piece of Freddie for sentimental sake. Took Freddie Freeman over 1.5 bases tonight. We put a little play on Freddie Freeman to hit a home run. Life's not a Disney movie, but it'd be a nice story if he did hit a home run tonight. Small play. I like him to go over the 1.5 total bases. We played the Los Angeles Dodgers to win a baseball game. And we took the under. It was 7.5, but I made it 8, minus 130. You can play the 8. I don't want to lose by half a run. I expect it to be a lower scoring game tonight with Nola and with Glass now on the hill. Nola pitched against the Dodgers earlier this summer and pitched well against them. The Phillies, of course, snapped their 6-game losing streak. Dodgers took the 2 of the last 3 against Oakland after losing on Friday night. So we're on the Dodgers, we're on the under, we're on Freddie Freeman, over 1.5 total bases, and a small play on Freddie Freeman to hit a home run. It's like plus 450 or so, plus 425, plus 450 or whatever. I was going to play Ohtani, but plus 180 for a home run prop, it's hard to do that. Unless it's the home run derby. I'm really not like that. Those odds are just too low. If he hits the home run, then hey, God bless him. Good, because I'm on the Dodgers. So we've got a full house on the program tonight. Mo Khan will step up and in. Joe Madden, George Kurtz, the Raging Redhead, Cam Stewart. A lot of stuff to unpack and a lot of stuff to preview. As far as the medal count is concerned, we're all on the clock right now. The Olympics were like more than halfway through. They end this weekend, and it's time to start racking up these medals. It's going to be pretty close for a lot of our future bets out there. The United States and China are now tied at the top of the leaderboard with 21 gold medals apiece. China's total was 33.5. USA's total was 39.5 to 41.5, depending on the book and the odds that you wanted to take it at. Incidentally, they finished with 39 gold medals in the last Olympics. I've got over 39.5, and there's quite a few events still left in the Olympics, but they're all events that we really don't know anything about. You know, you've got a bunch of wrestling, and there's still a couple of cycling races. There's still a bunch of track and field, like the longer track and field stuff going on. So there's still a lot of events, but now I'm just sort of hoping, I'm looking at the medal board, hoping that, the Americans can start like racking these things up a little bit. China's at 21. They're at 33.5. USA's at 21. It's 39.5. I don't know. Like France, I don't see where all these medals are going to come from for France right now. France, I got over 26.5. It closed at 25.5. They're at 13. The French soccer team today, wild stuff. In the semifinal today in Lyon with Egypt and France. Listen, France and Spain were the big favorites, along with Argentina, to win the men's gold. Spain are into the final, and so Spain gets it done against Morocco, but Egypt gave France all that they can handle. It was a scoreless game, and then in the 70th minute, Egypt scores, right? Or like the 60, whatever. Like they scored late in the game, 62nd minute or so, I think it was. 63rd minute, whatever. So they take the lead. France were up against it. France score a late goal, and then it went to extra time before the penalty kicks, and France scored twice in extra time to win 3-1, but it really wasn't a 3-1 game. Like, France were super lucky to escape, although they were kind of the better team. Like there was nearly a penalty kick that got disallowed because there was a foul, and there was controversy. The game took forever. There was a million minutes of added time. It was one of those type of deals. But France and Spain will be playing in the soccer final. We're getting into the quarterfinal knockout stages. The 3-on-3 basketball awarded the medals today. Wild stuff in the 3-on-3. The Netherlands ended up winning the men's final over the host nation, France. France covered the plus 2.5, but they had an opportunity to win the game. They did it. We'll get you caught up to date with all the point spreads for the Olympic basketball. So we still have the soccer, women's soccer, men's soccer. It's sort of like the teams now take over. Like I said, there's still a lot of events, but now the team sports sort of take precedent. You've got the soccer, you've got the volleyball, you've got the basketball, you've got the field hockey. They're all going into the semifinals, quarterfinals, semifinals right now. So the Olympics have been awesome. Canada has had a great games, but they're not over their 5.5 mark yet. The total for Canada gold medals was 5.5. They're at 5, and they're going to have an opportunity in the morning as Cameron Rogers, women's hammer throw. We spoke about Ethan Katzberg, the Canadian hammer throw. He was the favorite. We had him in parlays. He won. He won the gold medal. So he got Canada up to 5. It's 5.5. They've got Rogers. Like who she is the favorite. All right. And I recommend, we've got some picks for you a little bit later on, and I recommend taking her. She's minus 167 right now. I got her at minus 134 before the Olympics started, but there really hasn't been that much line movement. So she's minus 167. That's in like the afternoon tomorrow. So that's Tuesday afternoon. It's the final. And there's only 4 of them. So when it gets to the hammer throw, the way the final works, it's just like 4 throwers. So it's pretty quick, actually. So if she wins, boom, we win the bet. Canada over 5.5. Right? Listen, I played 4 countries, so I'd like to at least win 2 of these. But I don't know. Maybe the U.S. is going to go on a medal rampage over the next couple of days. Like I said, there's still quite a few events left. There's just a lot of they're like the real Olympic events now that we have left. There's a ton of wrestling still to come up right now. NFL football is coming up. Of course, we had the Hall of Fame game that ended in controversy. It didn't go 55 minutes, but we've got a couple of NFL football games on Thursday night. Our boy Mo Khan will step up, and then we got college football preseason polls as well. Our first preseason poll has been announced as the coaches poll has been announced. And I would say, polls mean something. They do and they don't, depending on who you are. If you're in a big-time power conference and you're controlling your own destiny anyways, then the polls don't really matter. But they kind of do, like, where you start, because if you start sort of the top of the polls and you don't lose, you're ahead of other teams that are losing still. But in the modern college football world now, with 12 teams going to the postseason, I don't think the polls mean quite as much as they used to, specifically in the old before the playoff days when the polls were all that we had. But it's still interesting, nevertheless, to see, the landscape, because this will pretty much be what the AP poll is going to be, pretty much. The Georgia Bulldogs are ranked number 1 by the coaches. Ohio State, too, not a surprise. I personally think the Oregon Ducks are getting a little bit too much love, and there's not enough being said about the Ducks going into the Big Ten. But the Ducks are ranked 3rd, Texas 4th, Alabama 5th, Ole Miss 6th, Notre Dame 7th. The defending national champion Michigan Wolverines are ranked 8th in the coaches poll. So we'll take a look at that tonight as well as the Olympic basketball getting ready to tip off. Let's do this thing. The Monday Night Meltdown. SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. Sirius XM Channel 159.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments. Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Left hand from Rockwell. Right hand right back from Mike Perry. Can I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah, we'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKFC's 56. Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Perry on the top. Right hand from Perry. Double check. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Let's roll. The Monday Night Meltdown continues. Sirius XM Channel 159, SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks. Let's do this thing. The Astros and Rangers are tied at 1 right now, but we have the bases loaded in a 1-1 baseball game. Top of the 8th inning, the Astros are in business with 1 out. We'll keep our eye on this, and the ball just got away from the catcher, yet the runner did not leave. He probably should have. I don't know why he didn't, but he did not. So, still, we got a 1-2 count, bases juice. We'll keep our eye on this game. Philadelphia and the Los Angeles Dodgers, as we stated off the top. Freddie Freeman's very scary situation with his son Maximus. We wish the best to Freddie and his family. Evidently, as Freddie stated at the press conference today, the fact that I'm back shows that things are going better right now and trending in a positive direction, but some scary stuff. So our thoughts with the Freeman family. Freddie is back tonight with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I took him over 1.5 total bases. And in a little feel-good story, let's hope that Freddie Freeman hits a home run tonight. Still scoreless in this baseball game. The Chicago White Sox have lost 20 consecutive baseball games. And if I have one regret over this past month, besides never sleeping and watching the Olympics 24/7, is I should be betting against the White Sox on a daily basis and flipping the money over. What's up, Cam? How you doing, Joe Madden? How you doing, Cam?
Hey, great to see you guys. Excellent point, Morency. And the best thing about the White Sox is they're the gift that keeps on giving, and they have leads, and they blow them late. That's the beautiful thing. It's not like they're getting crushed all the time in games. They have leads. They gave up a grand slam to Bobby Witt, a 3-run homer to Melendez. Like, all these guys do is screw up at the end of games. But, Gabe, I actually took Oakland on the run line tonight. Not probably a crazy move. They're the home team, but the White Sox are so damn bad. Like, they could lose 21 in a row. So Oakland's there, parlayed with the Dodgers as well. Let's hit some winners.
Joe, good to see you tonight. Do you have any late night action on the Oakland-Chicago game or Philadelphia and Los Angeles?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at this Oakland game the same way as you, Cam. I really do think the A's can get the win over the Chicago White Sox, and I think they continue to lose every game of this series. I did play JP Sears. I played him over on his strikeouts, over 5.5 strikeouts. That was coming in at plus 130. Now, I know he's not a huge strikeout pitcher, but looking here at the White Sox and all of their struggles, the amount that they're striking out, I really did like that one. And then we look at Rook coming out here. I took him for the home run. He's actually being so solid at getting those home runs on the board. He's coming in at plus 360 for that home run. And when we look at the Phillies and the Dodgers, I kind of played this a little bit safe if there's a safe way to bet a game. I parlayed Glasnow for 7+ strikeouts with the Dodgers to get the win. So instead of taking Glasnow for the 7.5 strikeouts, taking it down to 7, and Dodgers just to win it, and it came in at plus 130. I really do think they have the ability to get this win, and I love that Freddie Freeman's back in this lineup, and that you took him for the home run. I missed that he was going to be back tonight, Gabe.
It was a late return tonight. Like I said, life's not a Disney movie, but it'd be a nice story. And listen, it's great that he's back, and I think that, like, I went over 1.5 total bases. I think he's going to get a hit or a double or something like that tonight. But the home run was definitely worth a sprinkle. It was a big price, too, plus 425. Shohei Ohtani was only plus 180 to hit a home run tonight. That was just like a little bit too light. So we've got the Olympics going on. I don't know how much action you guys saw today. There was a lot. It's sort of getting Olympic-y now, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, there's always the Olympics, but now they're like the real Olympic sports. Kayaking. And, like, I was watching a sport today. I don't even know what the hell it was. Like, I actually was like, I don't know what they're doing. I think it was the steeplechase. They're jumping in water and they're running through stuff. I was like,
oh, that was the best.
The Olympics. Yeah, the Olympics are getting wild, man. It was almost like a set of gladiators or something. They're like jumping over things and boosh, like a long jump into the water, bam, and they pop out of the water. I was like, man, this stuff's hardcore.
I got to be honest with you. It was my favorite. My brother used to actually do that stuff. He's like good on the water, and I've covered it before. And I'm telling you, those currents that those guys are coming, then they got to go around the stuff against the water, make a move. There's like things like they have to do twists and turns, rolls.
Yeah, they're all crashing into each other, too, the kayak stuff.
Awesome.
They're hitting each other with the paddles because they were all like trying to get through.
Yes, it was like a traffic jam. And it's like that water's rough. Like, people don't understand. That is some wild stuff. Like, the kayaking is probably the most underrated. I loved it, Gabe. I thought it was fantastic to watch today. One of my favorites.
Well, I'm just sitting here flicking around and just waiting. Anytime I see an event with someone from France, China, U.S., or Canada, and I know who the Canadians are and what events they're in. Yeah. But I'm just hoping, all right, come on, get me another medal. Get me another medal. Get me another medal. But great stuff today, Joe, at the Olympics. And I don't know if you saw this, but there was a pole vaulter from Sweden. He actually went to LSU, but he's a pole vaulter from Sweden. He set the world record today, and he set the bar like so high. It took him a couple of tries to do it, but he knew he could pull it off. And it was 6.25 meters high in the air, which works out to 20.5 feet. Put that in perspective, 20.5 feet. Like, that's like basically jumping like over someone's roof type of deal. It was so high. He was coming up there. I was like, this is impossible. Like, if somebody told you, all right, we need you to jump over this thing, here's your little pole. The pole will help you get over it. Be like, hey, good luck with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? This dude, man, he flew. At one point, he was literally like 3 feet over it, except for whatever reason, he kept coming down and hitting the bar. It was like Bizarro World. He didn't have a problem getting that high, but he had a problem not hitting the bar on the way back down. And the third time, he nailed it. And even the other jumpers were all like celebrating when he did the world record, knowing like what a feat it was. Pretty crazy stuff today in the Olympics. What have you been watching, Joe, in the Olympics?
I've been watching all over the place. I was really impressed with the surfing. It was really cool to watch. We did see Carolyn Marks be able to get the gold medal in that today, so that was phenomenal. I don't know if you checked out any of the surfing, but beautiful where they're doing it in the French Polynesian islands of Tahiti. So been watching that. I saw the beach volleyball today. That was great to see Canada actually pull off an upset in the beach volleyball, beating Team USA in the knockout stages. So I didn't expect it. I really did think Team USA, that's where my money was on. I thought they would have Team Canada's number, but it was nice to see the Canadians get that done, because Canada, I don't know, those gold medals, sure, and silver and bronze sure aren't coming in very fast for them.
Well, Canada's had a great game. Today was the first day that they didn't, today's the first day they didn't get a medal. More on the other side.
We just...
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fight. It was a big night of memorable moments. Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Left hand from Rockwell. Right hand right back from Mike Perry.
Can I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. Ice Cube says he can form a better 3-on-3 team than the Team USA. We think it's only right if the gold medal winners come and play the Big Three All-Stars and see who the best in the world is, says Ice Cube. And it's interesting. I saw some comments from Brian Windhorst on the Pat McAfee show today, because a lot of people are wondering, how come the USA aren't better at 3-on-3 basketball, and why don't they just put NBA players in the 3-on-3? And they could, but the problem is they kind of safeguard this. They don't want it to turn into FIBA doesn't want it to turn into an NBA sideshow. They already have that with the basketball. They want this to sort of be more of an international flair to it. And anyone can enter, but like Ice Cube and Windhorse was saying, like Kyrie Irving wanted to play the 3-on-3 men's, but he was told he couldn't. You need to qualify. You need to play in like a certain amount of 3-on-3 tournaments. You can't just show up and play. Like, you need to actually participate. You need to sign up with the 3-on-3 FIBA. You need to register. You need to play a minimum amount of like tournaments to qualify for the Olympics. You can't just show up for it. So that's what the reason is why there's not. But you see, there's WNBA players in it, right? Cameron Brink was going to be in it, but she got hurt. Caitlin Clark could have played. But there's a criteria for the 3-on-3. The France and the Netherlands game today was a great game. It went to overtime, and France got the ball in overtime and scored a point. And I think this is the stupidest and craziest overtime rule ever. That their format in the 3-on-3 when it goes to overtime, it's the first to 2 points wins. Except you get 2 points for a 3-point shot in 3-on-3 basketball. So it should be like up to 5, man. Not like, the first shot. Like, so France got the ball, scored a basket. They got a single point for it, which I knew, too, was a bad idea. I was like, no. You've got to go for the win because it's too hard to get a score, a stop, and a score. Mathematically, your analytics, you're better off just lining up and taking the damn 3 and trying to win the game. And that's exactly what Holland did. France scored the point, but Holland hit the shot. And it was great defense. France had two dudes in the guy's face, and he just sort of shoved the ball in desperation. Yeah, and, of course, it went in. Holland wins the gold medal today.
I got to be honest.
France, it was bad management at the end of it. They should have just went for the 2.
You're right. And it was there, even in the women's game, the Germans, they came back against Spain. Like, there were some wild comebacks and stuff. But I'm with you. Like, you can't have a game relying on one shot to end it. Like, what are you going to do in hockey? First guy in shootout? No, you have to at least.
No, it's too quick, 2 points. Yeah, you're in overtime for the gold medal. Make it 5 points. Like first to 5 wins. Come on.
So you get one. Like, you have one bad defensive stand. Okay,
it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. You're just shooting threes. But that's why France knows this going in, Joe. Yeah. If you know this going in, you've got to just shoot the damn 3 then only. Like I said, it's too hard. I've watched all these games, and I saw a couple of these games go to overtime or near the end of it, where it was like that, where the smart teams would just shoot the damn 3. You know, it's too bad because it would have been another gold medal for France. But the 3-on-3, the Canadian women ended up losing out today when it was all said and done as well. Disappointing because they were looking good earlier in the tournament, but. This 3-on-3 stuff, and I learned too, and I did pretty well betting on it. Just take the underdog all the time. It really is an underdog sport, this 3-on-3 thing. They set point spreads like, 3.5, 2.5. Every game is like a 1-point game. They're all super close. So it's just take the underdog plus the points. That's what we did with France. We barely escaped with the plus 2.5. And at the same time that was going on, France soccer was crazy. They were losing late in the game, 1-0 to Egypt. They came back. They tied it. They ended up winning 3-1 in extra time, setting up the gold medal match, and a lot of us thought it was going to happen. Now you've got Germany versus Spain for the gold medal in Paris on Friday. And then, of course, the golf over the weekend lived up to the hype. It was a wild Sunday of golf. Scottie Scheffler seemingly was out of it. It looked like it was going to be, either Xander or Hideki, and then Rahm started off just like tearing it up. And it was like, oh boy, here comes Rahm right now. And then boom, Scheffler just systematically birdie, drops the 62. And you saw how emotional he was after when he won. Clearly wanted this one badly. And that's the emotions of the Olympics. Big win for Scheffler. 2 majors and a gold medal this year.
Rahm got in his own head, too. He really screwed up at the end.
just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments. Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Left hand from Rockhold. Right hand right back from Mike Perry.
Can I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here, warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is proving to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Perry on the turn. Right hand from Mike Perry. Double check. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form. Bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
This is SportsRage. I'm Gabriel Morency, SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. Speaking of the Olympics, the Philippines got their first ever gold medal, and in gymnastics. So Carlos Yulo is the first male Olympic gold medalist in Filipino history. This is what he gets as his bonus from the Filipino government when he returns back home. A lifetime supply of ramen. So that's the first thing you think of course, after you win a gold medal. I'm assuming it's the good stuff, too. It's not just like packs. So. Lifetime supply of ramen, fully furnished 2-bedroom condo, a house gifted by the government, and free colonoscopies and gastroenterology consults for the life. Wow. I don't know where like that comes in.
I wish I was a Filipino winner. I could really go to the final one.
It's a weird swag bag they have here, Joe, that you get when you win. Like, it's kind of like some countries, like this, if you win a gold medal, we'll give you $200,000. We'll give you $50K or whatever. The poorer countries give you more, actually, because it's sort of a big deal. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you'll get a couple $100K for them. I don't know. I think Canada might get $50K. I think it's more of a token thing. Same with the U.S. It's like, so you get a little bit of a bonus, but it's not really. But like some of these other countries like really have big incentives. So yeah, free ramen. I like how they threw free ramen in for life, Joe. Free ramen, fully furnished 2-bedroom condominium, a house, and free colonoscopies for life.
I like that.
Yeah, he'll do the colonoscopies after all that ramen. So it's a good combo there.
Yeah. That's probably a pretty good point. Right there. That's a good point. And remember, too, we talked about the Seine River being polluted and people were swimming in it. Somebody is in the hospital. One of the racers has been in the hospital for a couple of days now and is severely ill from the polluted water, which I don't really understand why they just couldn't put him in somewhere else. Like, couldn't you like to do a man-made, like next time, don't put him in a polluted. That's the one thing I'll say looking back on this. We're friends. It was probably really not a good idea to have people swim. Like, that's like if the Olympics went to New York and you had them swim in the Hudson. Like, they wouldn't do it. They would say, listen, it's really not a good idea to have people swimming in the Hudson. They're going to end up getting sick. And this is exactly what's happened. I'm going to be honest. The Olympics have enough money, too. That's a lawsuit to me. if I was this athlete, I would sue the Olympics for this and say, you maybe participate in unsanitary conditions. I ended up in the hospital. Like, he better not end up with hospital bills because of this either, because it's their fault he's in the hospital right now.
Great point, Morency. And you know what lives in bad waters? E. coli, bacteria. These are things that can get worse over time if not treated as well. So I agree with you 100%. There should be a lawsuit, man. If you swim in water like that, people think, oh, it's just a little thing. No, a bad thing, it gets worse and worse and worse if you don't attack it early. It's very dangerous, actually.
Yeah, I'm surprised more people actually didn't get sick. So the Phillies have taken a 2-0 lead in the top of the second inning on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Early 2-spot for Philadelphia. Meanwhile, the Oakland Athletics still lead the Chicago White Sox 1-0 right now. The White Sox, of course, have lost 20 consecutive baseball games, on pace to be one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball history. And they do have a runner on second base right now. There's 2 out. If you believe in the White Sox to snap the streak, you're getting plus 290 right now. The Phillies have currently become minus 200 favorites. 2-0, middle of the second inning. Dodgers pay back plus 160 right now. In-game total currently 8.5. Boston are up 9-5 right now on the Kansas City Royals in the bottom of the 8th inning. And we got a 2-2 game, guys, going on here with the Astros and Rangers in the top of the 8th inning. High-scoring game in Kansas City. Boston up 4 right now, Cam, on your Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, I took Kansas City. I did really well with the Mets earlier and stuff, but that was a heart play by me. Hopefully they can come back and cover the 3.5 on the run line. And Gabe, just as you've mentioned, Oakland White Sox have tied it up. They're tied at 1.
Yeah, you know what? They've had runners. They had a runner on second base in the last inning, and Oakland got out of it. So the White Sox just did score. Now suddenly it's plus 180 here, Joe. Oh, boy. Here we go. I'm on the Athletics tonight, too. I parlayed them with Team Canada in basketball. Figured I'd get a little head start on it.
Yeah.
Right? It only makes sense to be on the Oakland A's tonight. Who can put their money on the Chicago White Sox? Have you been fading them for the last 20 games? You've made a ton of money out there. I just can't look at them here to be able to come back and get this win. It's 1-1. I still think laying the 1.5 with the Oakland A's is the right way to go at plus 128. And the Red Sox and KC killed me today. I had the under 10. I was thinking it was too many runs. I thought James Paxton would have come out stronger and Brady Singer. I expected it to be a lower scoring game. So surprised to see all the runs in that one, you guys.
14. I'm on the under in the Dodger game right now. There's a 2-spot up. It's 8.5, the in-game total right now. So speaking of totals, the total for Greece and Germany, 160.5. It is the lowest total of the Olympic basketball games. This is the first game that tips off. It's at 5 o'clock Eastern time in the morning, 2 o'clock overnight Pacific time. So not too bad for me, actually. I'm going to watch this game, and then I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to go to bed. I won't see the Serbia-Australia game because that's, it's going to be too much for me. And then Canada play at 9 in the morning for me. So I'm going to go to sleep at like 4:30 or so, 5-ish after. I will watch the Greece game. Unless it's a blowout, I'll tap out. But and I'm going to be up for France and Canada for sure. That's not too bad, 9 o'clock, all things considering. So Germany are 7.5-point favorites over the Greece team. Total is 160.5. If you've been watching this, Joe and Cam, Germany have been a juggernaut, all right? Next to the United States, Germany have like murdered teams the most throughout this tournament. And they played a tougher group. They played tougher games than the USA did too. Like Germany were beating up on pretty good basketball teams. They absolutely mauled France the other night. Now you get Greece, who are kind of fortunate that they played themselves in here, Joe. They were up against it. Giannis is like just playing his heart out for these guys. But I think the Germans are going to be too much for them. They're laying 7.5. Man, this total feels a little light, but Greece are a little bit offensively challenged, so I get it. Why the number is this low? What's your opinion on this game, Joe Madden?
Yeah, I know that total is so low, but I'm still going to take it to the under. We look at Greece here, and Giannis is leading in the Olympics with points per game, sitting right around that 27 on average. But this team still is defensive minded, in my opinion. We look at Germany, they haven't allowed more than 77 points in a single game. So I got to go under in this one. I think it's a lower scoring defensive battle out there on the court.
Cam, what do you think of Germany and Greece?
I like Germany. I think they're, you called it earlier, Morency. I think they're the third best team in the tournament behind the Americans and Canadians. They're very, very good. Also, you talk about Schroeder and what he does in international play. The Germans are just a better team. I like them to win this game. It's interesting. You're going to get your opinion. USA's got to cover, 27.5 against Brazil. That's a big number.
It is a big number, but as far as Germany is concerned, they're a deep team. They're a dangerous team. This is a Germany team, guys. They won the World Cup last year, as we know. They went 8-0 in that World Cup run. Now they've played 3 games in these Olympics. They're 3-0. The German national team has won 11 straight games. They lost the exhibition game to the U.S., but in real games, in real competition, the Germans, it's actually more than that. They haven't lost since 2022, this team, actually, in international play. They're just on a complete tear. This current unit is on an 11-0 run right now. They're going to be too much for the Greeks. It's a little pricey at 7.5, but one thing with Germany, too, they're super aggressive. Like, they don't take the pedal off the metal. They play pretty quickly. They take a lot of threes. They're very aggressive. They take it to the rack. You got Franz Wagner. You got Dennis Schroeder. They rebound very well. They pop threes. They're a very dangerous team, Germany. And I think it's the end of the line for the Greeks.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments.
Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Left hand from Ron Paul. Right hand, right back from Mike Perry. Can I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here, warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah, we'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Perry on the target. Right hand from Mike Perry. Double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Morency. So we got Germany and Greece. I've already got Germany in a moneyline parlay to close out. I took them with France today in the soccer, just sort of get a head start on this stuff, knowing that it's overnight. But I will lay the 7.5 points. I might buy a half point, make it 7, but I do believe Germany will cover. I think Greece will have their moments. maybe earlier in the game, after the first quarter or something, it'll still be kind of close. I'm not saying Germany are going to like murder them. Germany did just like beat France by a 20 spot. The game kind of got away from France. It is what it is. But Germany are capable of running the score up on you. But there's no margin of victory anymore. But I still do think they cover the number. And even though I'd like to pull the trigger on the over 160.5, I kind of get the feeling Germany wins like 84-72 or something like that, which only gets us to 156. Like, I don't think Greece are going to score a ton. I can see Germany getting into the 80s. I remember their 40-minute games, so I'm going to go under the number in this game, which leads us into Australia and Serbia, also 7.5. Serbia, this one's a little more tricky, to be honest, where Serbia, you figure, you got Jokic, Bogdanovic really, really played well the other night. When you see Serbia get it going, they're a pretty dangerous team, and I kind of get the feeling that Serbia match up well with everybody except the United States. But with that being stated, I'm not ready to lay 7.5 points here. We saw South Sudan hang around with them. Australia play a more NBA style, a more structured style than South Sudan do. South Sudan just say, hey, let's run and gun this thing. And they did cover the point spread. The 7.5 is enough, intriguing enough for me here, Joe, to take your Aussies here, the Boomers. That's plus 7.5. Total's 173.5 in this game. And this is the one that I think there could be some pace to it. So I'm kind of leaning with the over here. I'd like it if it was, it was like 171 earlier. It's popped up a little bit. They're betting the over, and I understand why in this game. What do you think of Serbia and Australia?
I think this is going to be a back and forth battle. Just like you said, I've got to take Australia plus the 6.5 and the over 173.5. And I'm looking at some player props in this one. I really do think Australia hasn't played their best ball yet, and I think they stay competitive in this game. So I'm looking at Josh Giddey for his assists. Over 6.5 assists is coming in at minus 130, but I'm also going to hit him for the double-double. The double-double for Josh Giddey coming in at plus 130. I do like his ability to be able to get those assists as well as his points out there, both hitting double digits. I'm going to look at Pat Mills as well for over 2.5 assists. It's kind of juicy at minus 138, but I do think he will be feeding a lot to Jock Landale in this one, and Jock Landale over his points of 12.5. I can't leave out Jokic. I'm going to look at Jokic in this for his points and rebounds from Serbia. 33.5 is the number. I really do think if he's not on the court, Serbia has struggled in some of those games. So I think Jokic comes to play, goes over 33.5 rebounds and assists.
One play I like with Jokic is I like him over 10.5 rebounds tonight. I can't argue with your points and rebounds, but he's a rebounding machine. He's kind of the only one that does rebound on Serbia for the most part. It's just going to come down to how many shots. He's gone over this number in every game with the exception of the U.S. game, and the U.S. didn't miss shots, and it kind of got away from them, so he didn't play as much at the end. I like Jokic over 10.5 rebounds in this game. Landale's going to have his hands full, but I get the feeling, Joe, kind of Australia haven't been great, but they have, they're just sort of been okay in this tournament. But now that you're into the knockout stage here, you're getting, basically you got to lose by 8 points. I think they can hang with Serbia and take this down to the wire. Like, I could see this game, 89-86 type thing with a minute left, like both into the mid-80s and battling. If you guys watch, anyone that watched Serbia play against South Sudan, there were moments, man, South Sudan were in it, right? They were right there. Just Serbia were a step better. Jokic, and like I said, Bogdanovic was just a stud the other night on Saturday night, whatever it was, / Sunday morning. It's risky, but I'm going to, we're not going to take the favorite in every game. I'm taking the Aussies in this game, Cam. What's your pick?
I like Australia as well. I just think they're going to find a way to get it done. It's going to be a very, very tight game. Gabe, love your pick with Jokic over rebounds. I'm not going to do too many props in that game because I'm mostly going to save them for the Canada game. And I've already bet Brazil plus 27.5 against America. That's what I've done so far.
Which leads us into Canada and France, which is good news, bad news for Canada. The good news for Canada was you avoided playing the United States until the gold medal match. The bad news is you've got to deal with France, and now you got to deal with probably Germany after this, which is not an easy path. France did not look good against Germany, but I wouldn't, that's every game is different. And if you look at Canada didn't blow anybody out in this tournament. Like they haven't. Canada, it's the odds makers. If you look at this tournament, the odds makers have been extremely accurate with Canada. They laid 7.5 against Greece. They won by 7, right? Like every point spread that they've had. The Australia game was the one that they covered. And what did they win by? Like 8 or 9 against Australia? And they were like 5.5 point favorites. So they covered that one, but it was close late in the game. Canada just pulled away in the last 4 minutes. And then you get the last game that they were ahead and they took the pedal off the metal against Spain, and they ended up not covering the point spread. And I get the feeling Canada don't care. Like SGA was asked about it, you guys aren't blowing teams out. Germany are blowing teams out, the U.S. And he said, it doesn't matter where we blow teams out. He goes, we got to go 6-0 to win a gold medal. That's all that matters. We don't worry about how many points we win by, which is kind of a concern, to be honest. And one thing with Canada, when you watch them play, they're not that deep, right? Like we all talk, what a team they have and stuff. Yeah, they do have a bunch of good players, but they also once they get in foul trouble, suddenly you have some weird combinations out on the floor. Like they're still a couple of players away from being like the U.S. where they can just roll out like every time. They always have 5 studs on the floor. They've got some young guys on the floor at times. They're laying 7.5 here. I think it's going to be right around the number, actually.
Really?
I think Canada can win by 6, 7, 8, maybe 9.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fight. It was a big night of memorable moments.
Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Left hand from Ron Paul. Right hand right back from Mike Perry.
Can I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Perry on the target for the left hand. Right hand from Mike Perry. Double jab in the right hand. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form. Bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Yeah, we had another week of wild action in the Canadian Football League this week. And I started off with my picks. We give 3 picks for every game, of course, that we have for every game this year. And I took one for the team yesterday. I was asleep. I wasn't feeling too well. I was beaten down I was like, oh, man, this football game starts in an hour. And I posted the picks, and we went 3-0. But we started off 0-6 this week. I went 0-3 on the Thursday. The BC Lion game was a train wreck. The Friday game, I lost. I was literally 0-6 this week in the CFL in the first 2 games. And I managed to reverse it with a 6-0 to wrap it up. So we go 6-6. Wild game last night. The Calgary Stampeders have done this, Joe, a couple of times this year where they've been down big. They look terrible, and they just light it up in the fourth quarter. And it was wild because they were 3-point favorites in the football game. And not only do they come back, they end up covering the point spread by kicking the field goal at the end. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that they actually covered the point spread there because you saw them building up and coming back in that game. And I didn't think it would come down to them even getting the win when we were like sitting in the start of that fourth quarter. But they always get up for Toronto. It's really interesting when you look at how they're able to play versus the Toronto Argos. So it's interesting going into this week, week 10, because they will be facing Toronto, but in Toronto. And question mark for me is, will Chad Kelly be back? Has anyone heard if he will be back for week 10? Because we know it was a 9-week suspension.
I assume he will be, to be honest. Yeah. It seems like they're ready to live with whatever PR, whatever PR damage that they take, but they haven't announced it publicly yet, which leads me to believe that he will play, Joe. Because they know there's going to be a backlash about this, a mini one at least. So I think they'll want to do it as late in the week as possible, right? So it doesn't fester all week and there's not a story all week. I would imagine that they're going to be, we don't know. And until they have to tell people is when they'll tell people. But people will be reporting on it. But I'm looking right now, no clarification is their quote still. But the way they were talking, it sounds like to me it seems like to me he's going to be back. It's 1.5 the point spread. We don't know, and we know Vernon Adams is going to be playing for BC. There's no line for this game against Edmonton, but we know it won't be Vernon Adams. But Saskatchewan are 1.5 point underdogs on the road against Ottawa this week on Thursday night. Total is 48.5 right now in that game. Ottawa have had a great year so far. The Toronto Argonauts, as you alluded to, Joe, 1-point favorites over the visiting Calgary Stampeders, total 49.5. And the Montreal Alouettes, 7.5-point favorites over the Hamilton Tiger Cats, total 50.5. Still a little bit early in the week right now, so we still have time to make our picks. But what do you think of the card, Joe?
It's an interesting one. I think Saskatchewan is due for that bounce back after losing to the Edmonton Elks in this past week's game. So I am going to look at Saskatchewan straight up on the money line. They're coming in at plus 105 right now. When I look at Calgary and Toronto, I think it's a good time to grab Toronto right now at -1. At minus 105, because I do think once they announce Chad Kelly is going to be in this lineup, I think Toronto becomes a bigger favorite. So if you like Calgary, hold off, but I do think Toronto answers back in the next game. I like that one to the over, though, 49.5. And then Hamilton and Montreal, I do think we have the lower scoring game between those two. I'm going to take the under 50.5. And then BC and Edmonton, that's the hardest one on the board. I don't want to take Edmonton plus the 5.5 because it still is the BC Lions. And I know without Vernon Adams Jr., hard feet. But again, it's the Edmonton Elks. I just can't put my money on them. If anything, I'd look at the over 54.
I got to tell you, Cam, as a BC Lion backer, that's a dangerous game, that game. The Edmonton Elks are a completely different team with Trey Ford at quarterback, as we see. Like their defense plays better. Everybody's in a better mood. Everybody's just more fired up because they know we got a kid that can make plays for us, and we're going to be in this football game. And we saw it last year. They lost their first 9 games last year. Trey Ford took over, and he went like 4-4 as a starter after. And then for whatever reason, they went and signed Bethel Thompson like a bunch of idiots. Like, and the thing is, too, that even cost them money doing that. Like, that's what's even worse. It's like, so you're losing games and you're paying this guy like $600,000 or something crazy to lose. When you're not even paying Trey Ford anything. Like Trey Ford doesn't make a lot of money. He's making like $140,000, I think, or something low like that. $175,000. Like Edmonton, big mistake. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Hard to bet on the Ticats.